on the stream.
No one yet.
Yes, we
But
got
it's warm up. That was my phone giving me the alert that the show started.
Because you're subscribed for notifications.
Yeah. Okay. When you try to kill the volume and you instead kill the brightness.
Not effective there.
David! Oh my god, he's saying 1111. Which tells us he was there when you started singing.
Yes, which is fine. Because
Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Is that the sound, Professor Layton? No, it's the singing horses.
our references are not that new.
Okay, and because of that, there. Whoops. Did I send the wrong one? It didn't send.
I don't know. What did you do?
I just cut and pasted. It did not want to.
Maybe don't use the shorten. Maybe it's prohibiting sharing.
Cross-posting or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, never mind. We'll just have them search for singing horses next time. Pico and David are with us. On Facebook, it's Nico! Hang on.
Hello! Sorry, I'm cross-posting to Twitter.
Someone searching for someone to split Rising Sun
Kickstarter release. Ooh. Hello everyone, it's Wednesday. We have a show because we're not pretending to be vampires today.
Hello, Ma'am Yao.
Just a kuting also.
Yeah, I think so.
Nico lumipas.
I always get confused with nicknames. Names in general.
Yeah.
Names are tough. Names are confusing. But yeah, this is a unexpected episode because our usual Wednesday night plans of having a vampire game did not push through.
Yes.
And since we're talking about the 8, oh, we lost audio.
Well, can everyone still hear us? Mamiao saying she can't. Hello?
Test.
Ooh.
Okay, let's wait for people to comment if others can hear us. Okay, there, it's okay.
Alright. I could keep going.
Yeah. Our usual vampire game on Wednesdays didn't push through today. Oh, you'll share the link? Go.
I'll try.
I guess you'll use the one on the top, right?
And maybe it's different if
I didn't get the whole thing.
No, I did. I just didn't get the
13
UTM
seconds.
code.
Yeah. Okay.
So what
That's
happens
okay. Yeah, you try. But sharing. But in mine, it didn't want to. How strange.
I guess you're not
I'm a viewer, so
Yeah.
I can't post links. But that's the link to what we keep humming. Because we like singing horses.
It's a classic, ladies and gentlemen, and today's all about classics. So this is one of like 4 different cartoon-related episodes that David suggested because he started it going by decades. So
Which then becomes tricky because some shows,
cross decades.
yes, or some people might think it's a 90s show, but in truth, it started in the 80s.
Yeah, I was looking at the list too, and there are like some like tail end 80s stuff that I tend to associate more as 90s. But I mean, either way, it's still fun. So I guess to keep it easy, we're going through a list of like many shows, and we'll just talk about them in sort of whatever order they are in. Although I am bound to cluster some together, like option one already makes me.
No,
think of
Andre, you're
things.
not late. We're just starting. Actually, we haven't officially started, so I guess we should.
We could say you're late and make you stand in the corner. Call the truant officer. Or if you're late, you're going to have to stay for until the beginning of the next episode because we'll be old school like that. Don't you miss doing that in theaters? That you when the screenings weren't like fixed. I mean, like they were fixed, but you could enter at any point of the movie. And then if you came in the middle of the movie, you could be weird and
And just
wait
stay-
for the next screening.
And then wait until you reach that point and leave at that point.
Yes, we
Yeah.
have done that, especially as a family. It's like moving a
And-
whole family is difficult.
Well, that's because back then, the entire theater was you can go where you want the moment you get in.
Yeah, it wasn't fixed seating.
So you could
it wasn't
literally
fixed timing.
Move from movie to movie to movie if you wanted to, even if that wasn't how it was meant to be. And no, Andre, we don't hate you. We just hate the fact you're late. No.
You're not lame. You're not lame.
So let's start. This is Toby.
And this is Rocky.
And if it's your first time here, welcome to Baday Pride, a little space on the internet where we talk about anything we want.
This is completely unscripted and not entirely accurate, but at least it's honest. Join us. We talk about everything and anything random live.
And if it's not your first time here, thank you so much for joining us again. We are spending the next 30 minutes talking about,
80s cartoons.
which was a topic suggested by.
David.
Interestingly, as we were planning to talk about tonight's topic, I started checking online for a nice list to use,
Oh, Mina's here. Hi.
only to find out Rocky was looking at the same list.
Hey, in my defense, I loaded the list like an hour ago. I was in the middle of my last conference call and I was already
So
looking
is
at the
that the reason why it popped up as the first thing I found?
I
when
don't
searched
know.
for it?
I don't know. It's a thing that just keeps happening to us. That I mean, to be fair, and this one isn't even the topmost.
Yes,
thing.
it's not. It's just like all our eggs are in the same basket, so to speak.
Hey, we're done with eggs in the same basket. That was yesterday. Okay.
Quick shout out to the people who are here. Just so
Yeah,
that
we
can
have
say hello.
many people. So we have Mina. We have the Mamio version of Kuting. We have Dre. We have Pico. We have the YouTube version of Nico. We have David. We have the Facebook version of Nico. All these things. Thank you for supporting the little show. And then
Mina just adds from the earlier topic, 2 movies pa in one, double feature. That's true. There was that thing about, just being able to watch all these movies when you pay for a ticket.
oh, and we have a John Isaac. Hello, John.
Oh. Hello.
I cannot recognize you from your profile photo, so hi, welcome. Okay, yeah. So we're looking at a ranker list of 80s cartoons, and I am surprised actually by what's number 1 on the list, which is Thundercats.
The 1985 Thundercats animated, well, the
Okay,
cartoon.
they're all cartoons.
Yeah, the cartoon.
Okay, wait.
I
I realized
surprisingly the first in the list.
I wanted to do a quick preamble. I think that one of the big reasons for the boom of cartoons in the 80s is because of changing regulations in US television that allowed toy manufacturers to have cartoons based on their properties if they were educational or had at least an educational lesson, which led to many thinly disguised commercials
To sell the toys.
masquerading as cartoons that appended things at the end with, PSAs.
Yes.
And those little PSAs, and hence
knowing
the more
is
you
half the
know,
battle,
yes,
and
G.I.
all those
Joe and all.
things.
So that little attachment to the end of cartoons was the only rationalization. and they super resurged. And so many of these cartoons were tied to toy franchises. Franchises.
And prior to that, any shows that were devoted to kids had to go through a lot of scrutiny.
There was a lot
of,
more regulation.
Yeah. So the way to get around that and sell to kids sooner, because we all know kids are where the money comes from, because parents can't say no to their kids. That's where the cartoon industry boomed.
Yep. So Thundercats at the top of the list is in this family of what I can't help to associate of what's this? The weird animal people cartoons. Thundercats, Silverhawks, and Tiger Sharks.
Andre, shame on you for not finding it educational. Thundercats was very educational.
Remember, the protagonist of Thundercats, Lion-O, is actually a child, prematurely aged by a malfunctioning cryogenic chamber, and suddenly he is a kid in a giant Catman's body with Jedi powers and a Jedi Master. Yeah, so it was a very thinly disguised like rip-off of many elements of Star Wars.
Yeah.
But it oddly worked. And it was surprisingly more serial than most cartoons. I mean, it was still very episodic. And when we say episodic, that each episode was a standalone story.
Self-contained, yeah.
But there was a definite sequence
to
the Thundercats adventure.
Mamiao ads, Thundercats came with a bunch of other cartoons, right? Yes, I think those are the ones we talked about.
Well,
Tiger Sharks.
I associate them, but they weren't together because Tiger Sharks was the one that was on the comic strip, which was together with like Street Frogs and Karate Cat and something. It was like 4 different cartoons.
Yeah, and I think they had a very distinct visual style that connected all of them, which made them. Deep down, we all wanted them to be in the same universe, even if they never really confirmed it.
Because they were using the same like Asian-based animation studios to do all this stuff.
I will also admit that it was one of the few shows back then which was strikingly anatomically correct, in the sense that, I mean, you had Scooby-Doo and all the others were in. It's all these stylized cartoon bodies. And then Thundercats came with
were He-Man-ish ripped bodies. The kids were very kiddie. They just had cat features, right? And I think then every gay boy of our generation fell in love with Chitara and all these things. But it was also pretty dark.
Yes.
I mean, Mumra, the ever living, is a mummy who turns into a buff mummy who prayed to 4 ancient gods in a very Cthulhu-esque Egyptian temple thing. It was surprisingly scary. So, but yeah, Thundercats, awesome.
I guess we might as well touch on the others, even if they're not on the list yet.
You just don't want to go to number 2.
Well, Tiger Sharks was the least popular of the 3, I feel.
It also wasn't a standalone cartoon because it was bundled with the comic strip, and it was like these human researchers who could turn into sea animals to some degree.
And then Silverhawks was the one which I felt was the most forward-thinking. It was futuristic. It had the episode wherein it was all about fighting with music. It had the villain who literally brought in the concepts of transmutation and transformation because of the moon and all that.
But wasn't Monstar almost like a ripoff of Mumra?
I actually thought they were related
because they both they must beg something else for power.
Yes, exactly. And then you had the beauty of the suits that this was way before any concepts of liquid metal ever existed. But there they were in their skin tight suits with
because it's partly metal, partly real. Yes.
But yeah,
what equation is that? Partly metal, partly
it's
real.
It's the 80s. I mean, come on, Transformers.
Hey. That's number 2.
Yeah, let's talk about Transformers, about how an alien race.
What did you think about it? That was the Thundercats were the bad guys here, invading Mumra's planet, and Mumra was just protecting the planet. That is kind of true. Like, is Mumra and the mutants an analogy for Native Americans?
That's true.
Who were bothered by these majestic feline conquerors.
And admittedly, I think some 80s resurfacing shows are trying to explore those ideas. Like, for example, the She-Ra cartoon, the new one, kind of now tried to show how She-Ra might have not necessarily been the heroine the whole time. And it's an interesting way that it can flip the narrative. Transformers. I'll invade the planet, and the first thing I'll do is pretend to be a radio.
They were not invading. they were pursuing the Decepticons who were escaping Cybertron, but in the battle, they crash landed on Earth.
So
It totally makes sense.
So to hide, some of us will pretend to be vehicles, while the others pretend to be appliances.
Because they mistook the vehicles as the dominant life form.
Okay, please repeat that sentence.
They mistook vehicles as the dominant life form, and so to blend in, that's what they copied. Blame Teletran 1. He wasn't even smart enough to figure out who were the Decepticons and the Autobots. He's like, repair, repair, repair. And then the Decepticons got fixed.
Did they ever have an in-world explanation to why they'd call themselves literally Decepticons?
It's like guys named Max Mayhem growing up to lead a life of
No,
crime.
but I mean, was there ever like in Transformer ancient language, Decepti means something else?
I don't think I've seen a decent explanation in the new canon. But then, to be fair, the original Transformers cartoon was as episodic as you could possibly be. The stories did not connect. They were super random. They were full of animation errors, but they are still much beloved by fans.
And in many ways, Transformers is the reason many of us learned about death in a different way.
That's different. That's only when you get to the movie.
Yes.
Because the movie, in the Transformers was the second of the big cartoons that were really based on toy franchises. And then
Mina, blah, 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 blah.
and then
I mean,
the movie represented the first move into, sorry, we're changing the line, so we must kill off the entire 1984 Transformers line and release a new one. What can you do? So they had to kill everybody off.
now, Mark just adds, just saw Bumblebee love John Cena's line. They literally named themselves Decepticons. It's the self-awareness that is now happening with all these resurfacing of 80s stuff.
And that's the deception, that you don't even know why.
Mina,
We're going through 80s cartoons.
yeah, and today, next one is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
This is definitely in the category of, I always think of this more of a 90s thing.
Because it showed up
In the Philippines.
in the latter part of the.
Yeah,
it was like
it's late,
very
right?
late 80s, early 90s when it came out.
Jed says GoBots came first. My sister is saying make the sound, which is
So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I remember it fondly, less because of the cartoon, more because of the toys. It was one of the toy lines that gave me really cool looking enemies.
because they were super mutated, and then
Yeah.
like this whole angle of mutants, and then and it really pushed Playmates into a new level of fame, where all of their toys are in the same squatting position.
Yeah. It's interesting though that the cartoon is based on a much more serious and gritty comic.
I've super gotten into the comic now. The new ongoing IDW comic series that rebooted the whole thing.
And there is actually now an ongoing The Last Ronin Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles storyline.
That
that's
connects to
coming
the
in the comic.
ongoing.
Yeah, and it's just interesting how it's been very different. The cartoon has also had so many transformations, and it has a recent reincarnation with a very new art style that is very, very kinetic and energetic.
Okay, comments. My sister Quest points out I like Donatello because yes, he was the smart one. Therefore, I had to like him. Noelle is complaining about Visionaries. I don't know. It's not that high in this list that we're following. David cites that he started Turtles with the 2000 reboot. It's okay. We respect this difference in timing,
Mina,
and we'll figure out the rest as we go.
Yeah, Mina asked if I watched it, and I did. It's just that it didn't connect. I didn't find myself enjoying the cartoons as much as I did other cartoons,
Because Cowabunga.
which I'm hoping will appear in the list.
I like their vehicles more though, but that's me always leaning towards machinery and cartoons and robotics.
He-Man and the Masters of the Universe had its
Yay.
share of machines and interesting.
Very
things.
strange machines.
I remember the Sidewinder.
Oh, that's the
The-
giant lizard thing that moves like this.
Yeah, and that was a fascinating toy.
I didn't have any of the big vehicle toys for He-Man. I had a He-Man figure and a Skeletor figure, and then that's about it.
Yeah, I was very envious that by the time my parents moved on from buying He-Man toys was the time when the weirder toys came out, the ones that sprayed water.
Oh, that's
or
like
had
end of the line
Stinkor
things,
and all that. But yeah, I really felt sad about that.
I want to skip these because they are weird on this list and they start really early. I want to
So-
think.
so-
So we'll focus on things that started in the
Yeah,
late
but just to tell everyone, we are skipping stuff like Looney Tunes, Tom and Jerry's, because those are really
super
fr-
old,
from
super
further.
old.
But we cannot skip DuckTales.
Yay, DuckTales!
Ooh.
Ooh. DuckTales was a phenomenon, and it began the whole Disney cartoon era, I
Mhm.
think. And I don't know, because they were
We
really
hit that!
10 people. DuckTales was like super great stories. I think they had really good adventures, really interesting cartoon
Mhm.
characters and stuff. And it super worked. I don't know, it super worked.
I don't remember if I encountered DuckTales or Darkwing Duck first.
Oh, that would be funny
To
because
be honest, I don't
Darkwing
remember.
was an obvious spin-off
Yes.
of DuckTales, but no, it was
Because
super
I
watch
think,
live.
admittedly, I was more the Rescuers and Chip and Dale than I was DuckTales.
Which is already like
Mhm.
almost 90s cartoon.
And I only really got into DuckTales because of the video game.
Oh my god.
Yes, where you could, like, a pogo stick ride in the cane and use it like a golf club
That's
to
a-
hit things.
And it got re-released, right?
Mhm.
For like the
With
PS3.
the moon
and it
stage.
was terribly
Everyone
difficult.
hates the moon stage.
Quick, what's this? Someone's asking about Centurions. It's somewhere in this
Yeah,
list.
we'll see if
get
it
there.
Yeah, because we're following a list just so that we go through
Mark
it.
was like the weird ones were in the Horde. Actually, there were stranger characters in the Horde than in the main He-Man line. I actually like the new DuckTales, but then we haven't been watching. So I'm super
The new
behind.
DuckTales feels pulpy, which is awesome.
Yeah.
It has nice adventure feels, and it's not just comedy, but it's still funny.
Dungeons and Dragons. Oh, it's Nina. Oh, hello. And yeah, we'll get to Dungeons and Dragons. Okay. And my sister is singing the DuckTales intro. Okay.
I see now we've divided. I want to like tackle some of the things they're racing, but I'm not sure what date they're released.
Yeah,
I
so
wanna stick to this.
we'll just follow this list.
Smurfs.
Wow, 1981. Smurfs just made it.
Smurfs.
It was strange, but we all kind of got into it, and it kind of feels like it was later on the story of Fraggle Rock
Mm.
because it still seemed like mysterious small people being pursued by a
And
large
it was
old
odd.
person.
It was odd for me that the antagonist in Smurfs was the name of an angel,
Gargamel.
and the others later on.
I didn't even know it was an angel. An Azrael.
Yeah.
Azrael's the cat. Gargamel was
Mhm.
the big guy.
So that was a bit of a weird thing for me, especially when I started reading about stuff. Inspector Gadget
I
Oh.
really liked Inspector Gadget.
with the dog brain, right?
Yes, the dog was Brain, the girl was Penny against Dr. Claw.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the cat if he had a name. And then
Yeah, the white cat.
but he was very stupid. And it was really Penny and Brain solving everything. And I think everybody really wanted to be Brain. The dog was awesome. Next on the list, G.I. Joe.
Of course, G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe is the first Hasbro property that went through the try method of have a cartoon miniseries, have a comic book, and a toy line.
Mhm.
So Transformers followed that formula after G.I. Joe.
And G.I. Joe started with really larger dolls.
Well, if you go back to the
Mhm.
the earlier incarnation of the G.I. Joe toy, but then in the 1980s rebrand, which is G.I. Joe: A Real American Hero, that's when they switched to their smaller format and then just pushed vehicles.
Okay, let's go back to comments real quick. Oh my God, Mami adds Tales of Darkwater.
I feel like that's 90s,
I
but we will find
I'm
out.
hoping to see it on the list. Visionaries, of course. I really want to talk about Visionaries. I hope we see it on the list soon.
And then my sister switched to Facebook to say blah blah blah.
Pico adds G.I. Joe, one video game that surprises me and scares me every time the intro song appears on the SNES.
I don't remember.
Yeah,
the
I don't remember a
game.
video game too. Okay, Jetsons.
Nope, 1962.
Okay, we're skipping that. Simpsons
Oh,
just
wow.
made it because it's
1989. And it's like super long running. I mean, I don't think of it as like an 80s cartoon in itself.
Mhm.
Only because it was a primetime show. It wasn't a Saturday morning cartoon.
Mhm.
It was something in the evening together with all the sitcoms, and so it kind of made it very different. Which I liked it. I mean, there's no denying I like The Simpsons. It's just that it didn't feel like part of that block of like Saturday morning programming. And my sister's like, you see the comments consolidated? Yes. Restream lets us pull together all.
So yeah, here we go. Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers was 1989 as
Oh
well.
my god, can't you even say the title fully? Chip
I'm
and
sorry.
Dale Rescue Rangers. Chip and Dale Danger. Good theme. So another actually show that was surprised that it worked for me.
Mm.
And then it in the reboot of DuckTales, they actually had a Chip and Dale's cameo, which was surprising.
Bugs Bunny show, we're skipping.
1960s.
Garfield and Friends.
Garfield and Friends.
Friends
that's
are there
cute.
to help you in trouble, to give you a push.
I oddly appreciated this, and then I didn't realize that Orson. Was it Orson's Farm? I think was actually another comic in itself. And then I just like Sheldon.
I like Sheldon too.
But then now Sheldon is in our Ryotama games. Oh, because I shared the link of the G.I. Joe game.
Okay, we'll check that out.
We'll get there.
Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
1981 just made it with the nonsensical
and this had all that sound effects.
let's give him Iceman and Firestar as friends. And Firestar is another of those classic did not exist in the comics characters.
Yeah, the microwave powers.
And was later retconned into the comics and then was made into a mutant. So it's like, whoa. Yeah, good for her.
Voltron, of course, 1984, and this is the Lions Voltron.
Which is the only Voltron that matters. As much as I like cars.
Is this vehicle elitism because of Transformers?
I don't know. Lion Voltron was almost always better than Vehicle Voltron. Because Vehicle Voltron had the stupid problem of they could only be Voltron for like 1 minute, 2 minutes.
Well,
but it was like the longest 2 minutes
I was
ever.
more weirded out that despite them all being different vehicles, they could all go the same place. They're all flying in space. So why did they have to be different vehicles?
Yeah, why airspace and my sister's like, I'm scared you can spew some of these facts off the top of your head.
Andre,
aren't you surprised by this?
Are there other Voltrons back? I hope you're being sarcastic because if you didn't know there are other Voltrons, I'm surprised. Alvin and the Chipmunks,
1983. We watched a lot of Alvin and the Chipmunks, and they had a movie. Yes. But then I didn't. It's one of those classic. Should I associate with the brainy one? Because I didn't particularly like them. Though.
I hated them. I found them annoying
because they do music,
and I don't know. I guess they just made the life of the humans so miserable.
Wow, Mark Joseph Bago asking, is it true the Lions and Vehicles formed one Voltron? Never seen that happen.
I never saw that either.
I've only seen them fight together, but then as someone who has at least played with both of the original toys, they had no interconnectivity.
Yeah, and the vehicle Voltron was not just like 6. There was like a huge fleet.
It was many.
Like 15.
Because the torso was 3 pieces,
the
helicopters were the arms, the tiny head, the legs were like the 2 thighs, but big.
But visually, the robot looked interesting because it had the rotors of the helicopters.
It had a lot going on.
It had a very nice visual. But it just felt like such a huge squadron to turn into one robot. And you're like...
And you could turn each team into a mini vehicle. So the legs, the land team was just like the feet.
Oh, Mark shares to Mark as well. No, the original series was just 2 separate shows.
Yeah. So it's that classic,
yeah, but
animation.
But I have no idea if they ever had some crossover thing.
They had a crossover, I think, to fight, but then not to they couldn't interconnect.
The real Ghostbusters, 1986.
Not to be confused with the Ghostbusters in the Jalopy, which was released much earlier.
So I definitely got into this cartoon. I love the toys.
You like ghost monsters?
Well, I love the slime.
This is what Toby was like into horror even before he knew he was into horror.
I love the slime toys. I love the fact you could put the figures in and slime. Which is also why I like the Ninja Turtle toys.
And also why you were hoping for the later He-Man toys because it also gave slime.
Yes. Super Friends is 1973. We're skipping that. Muppet Babies.
Muppet Babies.
Mina, we know you like Muppet Babies.
Of course, we super like Muppet Babies. And then when you look back at it, it's like, oh my god, Muppet Babies spoof lampooned so many popular franchises of the day. They had like a Star Wars episode. They had a Indiana Jones episode.
So I can see everyone's voting other shows we haven't tackled. I now want to share this link because you can vote shows up.
Yeah, just so that it moves things up,
But yeah, let's quickly go through more.
Muppet Babies totally made sense, and then it was just like weird that the nanny, whatever, you could never see, because they're classic. You only see her legs type situation, but it super worked. And then I super love the Happy Meal toy that came out for Muppet Babies.
Disney Adventures
Of the Gummy Bears,
Of the-
Gummy
yeah.
Bears,
I did not
bouncing here and
I
there.
did not
and
know it had the
everywhere.
start Disney.
They super branded it because I guess they didn't want to confuse it with actual edible gummy bears.
I guess.
But gummy bears is so weird because what is our premise? These bears live in the woods and make and drink gummy berry juice, which lets them bounce on their butts.
So magic and mystery will go down in history along with the secret of gummy berry.
Wow, good job.
Care
And-
Bears, 1985.
Care Bears. Well, I didn't super get into it because it's like warm and fuzzy magic thing.
I was a Care Bear snob because I like shirt tails.
Okay. I knew we had shirt tails like on some of our clothes, but I just didn't know what they were.
But yeah, I was a Care Bear snob because I like shirt tails.
I like the movie though. Okay, and then no, that's
We have She-Ra, 1985.
She-Ra, Princess of Power, which I think was such an awesome. Actually, I felt the writing of She-Ra, Princess of Power was actually better than He-Man and
Yes,
Master of the
I felt that way too.
And it was super like what's this? The whole intrigue of it was this alternate dimension, and it turned out Adora is Adam's sister, distance, whatever, and then the Horde was such a much more awesome enemy. I had a Horde trooper because its main feature was it blew apart. The chest just popped.
All right, we have Dungeons and Dragons.
You really wanted this to be on the
1983.
list. Go talk about Dungeons and Dragons today.
Hey, you can't really, you can't turn down a cartoon that plays as one of the most terrifying, powerful villains in the actual game.
The Lich.
As Tiamat.
Okay. Oh yeah.
As the threat that the kids face while in a roller coaster.
In
So,
the opening episode.
That's just amazing. They also made them all have cool weapons, which is interesting.
See, Mina's like, Vince is asking if you watch the raccoons. That's Shirt Tails, right? Shirt Tails was the raccoons and that type of animal.
It had different animals. It had it had
but
the
there was a
mole,
raccoon.
it had-
Yeah. Okay.
But then we have, let's keep moving. Heathcliff and the Cadillac
Cadillac Cats.
Cadillac Cats.
Heathcliff was really like worse Garfield. he was like meaner. He was not very.
Oh, there was a separate Heathcliff.
Oh, wow.
1980s.
Because the Cadillac Cats one was that they gave him this ensemble,
Mm,
which was hoping to bridge into toys.
okay. And then keeping moving, Scooby and Scrappy Doo, Puppy Hour.
I hate Scrappy Doo. He's so annoying. I mean, Scooby Doo is like barely tolerable.
Mhm.
Because you don't understand why is the show named after him when he barely contributes, and then they introduced Scrappy. It's
Mhm.
like what?
So
is
really
this?
quickly going through comments, She-Ra was the underdog rebel compared to He-Man, who was basically a barbarian cop. That's true, and that was in many ways why they had to write her more intelligent shows for her, because she couldn't just
See, because female-oriented programming, smarter writing. I don't know.
Noel adds Gem. I'm sorry, we haven't seen it on the list.
it's gonna
yet.
come up, I'm sure.
Meow adds Rainbow Bright. We haven't seen it on the list as well, but we have Snorks.
Why is Snorks this high?
1984.
Do you remember what
I
Snorks
love
are?
Snorks.
It was bizarre.
I love
because
the Snorks. They had
they-
snorkels on the top of their heads.
which was really just propulsion because they were aquatic creatures. They were underwater things.
but
but-
they
It was just like what's this? It was essentially Smurfs underwater.
I always felt Snorks was secretly connected to Fraggle Rock, and I don't know why.
That's very far away.
But deep down, I had it's like Fraggle Rock
and
in the water.
Snorks super all looked alike.
Mhm.
They were super the same character design except for like color variations and clothes.
Mhm.
So
Mass.
1985 Mobile Armored Strike Force Command.
Which supposedly, if rumors are to be believed, a live action movie is supposedly being negotiated.
Isn't that just the Transformers movie again? and Hasbro owns the property.
But yeah, Mask was one of the
But it was,
shows
it was
we
a
really
cool
got into.
cartoon.
My brother and I got into it so much, we started to make our own Mask vehicles using Lego.
That's cute.
That could transform. and then we used the bricks to create the headpieces. So we'd pop off the head and give him a.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, we
That's
were
nice.
really into that.
And it was super, but admittedly, the toys, I mean, the vehicles were the star of that series,
Mhm.
but because of scale, the people were ridiculously tiny.
Yes.
And they were just super basic, like 4 points of articulation and the helmet.
And as always,
And you will lose the helmet.
the vehicles of the villains were the better looking ones. I mean, they were more awesome.
Yeah. Because Max Mayhem has the helicopter jet thing, and then even just that stupid
The
motorcycle.
piranha.
Oh,
The
I had the piranha.
sidecar that turns into a submarine.
I know what was the girl's
Oh,
one?
you're thinking the green one that turns into a helicopter.
No. I'm thinking about the girl's car, the purple car that could also fly, but hers
yes,
had
yes.
full wings.
Yes.
Not just like the
For some
silly
reason, I'm
tracker
thinking
wings.
Venom or Viper. was
Oh
the name.
yeah, because like a V. Oh,
Yeah.
Iko's here too. Hello, Iko. Again, Nina agrees with my disdain for Scrappy, so does Mom
Yeah,
Meow.
Scrappy is terrible. Scrappy is like,
And see, Noel agrees. Snorks were the creepier version of Smurfs.
no, Snorks were the sensible version of
they
Smurfs.
were not sensible.
Beetlejuice, 1989. the
That
cartoon.
just made it. And that was actually a fun cartoon. Considering as a kid, I was scared of the movie.
I don't recall watching Beetlejuice.
I watched it and it's super, because it was animation, they
Mhm.
super got to push it.
Okay.
They super pushed the whole story. They had a sandworm almost in every episode,
Mhm.
these things. Because it was animated rather than the claymation and
So we have
stop motion.
Silverhawks finally on the list of 32.
Silverhawks.
But moving forward, Dennis the Menace in 1986.
Really? That made it to the 80s? Was this Dennis the Menace always felt older?
Yes, I have to agree. I always thought it was an older one.
I was not super into it.
Close to the same list is Pound Puppies,
Okay.
1986.
We watched a fair amount of Pound Puppies. It was they were so much more animated than the actual toy
Is
line.
this the one with the beagle with a cape?
No, I think you're thinking of something else. But then, or was there? I don't remember there being a superhero in the Pound Puppies because they were basically anthropomorphic dogs who would look out for fellow strays.
Oh, there. Yeah, there. He's in a cape with a diaper.
The kid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I think I did see a few episodes. Moving forward, Flintstone Kids. I do not know this.
Flintstone
1986.
Kids failed where Muppet Babies succeeded. It's
Mhm.
like it made no sense. Okay, and that's it.
And the New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, 1988.
And it was new because they had already done short animated features for Winnie the Pooh, and then this beginning of a TV series, which joined that growing block of Disney entertainment.
Quick check on comments. Andre, Mask for Man. Oh my gosh, Andre. David,
Beetlejuice was
Mhm.
Beetlejuice was an 80s cartoon.
Noel, of course, Duckula,
I hope
and
Ducky listens.
Alf. I'm hoping Alf's on the list as well. Okay, we shall keep going because we like this topic. We have Thundar the Barbarian, 1980.
Wow, it just made it. But then Thundar, like many other Hanna-Barbera productions, felt like it was the same hero model
Yeah.
drawn
It
differently.
almost even felt like they reused some animations and retraced over it, sort of like what Disney does with certain.
There was a lot of rotoscoping thing going on.
Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids. Oh, no,
1972.
72. We're skipping. Gem has finally reached the
There you
list.
go, ladies and gentlemen.
At
Gem and the
1985.
hologram. Okay, because I grew up with my sister, I watched a lot of Gem. It had very serialized storytelling.
Mhm.
There was a lot going on in Gem, guys, and it's kind of amazing. It was just a very weird concept that
They
I
were,
have hologram projector earrings that,
and they did heroic stuff, right? They were like,
pseudo detective
Yes.
work, very Nancy Drew. And then it's just creepy that Synergy, the computer, was modeled after their dead mom.
yes, I remember that was the weird thing about it.
There's like Showtime Synergy. So yeah, we watched a lot of it.
Captain Planet is not in the list. It's 90s.
Ah, it hit
I'm sorry,
1990.
we're skipping Captain Planet. Dragon Ball Z, 1989.
Oh, but I think like many, we didn't actually watch, but I didn't watch Dragon Ball Z
I wasn't
in
a
the
fan.
80s.
Admittedly, I was not a fan of
It
Dragon
just
Ball
takes
Z.
forever. And then because the predominant one that was filming in the Philippines, was showing in the Philippines was the Tagalog dubbed one. I admit I could not watch it.
Hmm.
I was struggling with Filipino most of my grade school life.
Real quick, Pico shares preferred Flintstones, the non-kid one. Well, Pico, I think I know why.
Can we talk about Denver? I don't know if that counts as 80s or was it 90s already, but I think it was 80s. It feels, but I don't know.
Noel offers the entire copy of the Seasons of Gem and the Holograms if anyone wants it. Sorry, Pico, Captain Planet. So Rainbow Bright, 1984.
I didn't actually watch a lot of this because I think we watched more My Little Pony. But it was bizarre.
I think I confused Rainbow Bright with Pippi Longstocking or something.
Why? That's very deep, man.
Because of the socks.
But the villain was like weird. Was that blue guy with the cloud? Like he was super
I
sad.
remember.
Okay,
the Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
Super Mario Brothers. Yes, okay. They had a rap.
I have vague memories.
They had a rap.
Of this.
It had a live action portion, and then it would link to an animated series.
What I remember more liking that was video game related was the one
Captain N.
Yes.
I knew you were gonna like Captain N.
But it's not on the list yet, so we won't talk about it yet. Incredible Hulk, 1982.
This is like, wow, I didn't realize that there was a 1982 Incredible Hulk. But looking at it, it does look familiar.
Danger Mouse, 1981.
I super got into Danger Mouse, but more in the 90s when it was rerunning on random channels.
And the recent relaunch of Danger Mouse wasn't so bad.
Yeah, but then it's like, oh wait. It was because and then the animation style was borderline Monty Python. And I didn't realize I had made that connection in my head because I had watched some Monty Python animation late at night when my dad was watching. So, Danger Mouse.
David, random lang. I'm a bit sad.
The 80th ep won't be the 80s cartoons anymore.
Well, maybe it's shows about people in their 80s or something. We'll come up with something. The New Adventures of Johnny Quest.
Which was an effort to like super revive this franchise because the original
Johnny Quest
was like super 60s, like Marvel Action Hour type animation. So
and that was like Defenders of the Universe.
But I never got into Johnny Quest. I think I only got into Johnny Quest during like the later 90s, early 2000s reboot because they really made it a bit more compelling.
Okay, The Littles.
I have never heard of
1983. If any of you have seen The Littles, please comment.
Why is it number 47 on this list?
Exactly.
How is it ahead of
Brave Star? 1987. This is the guy which was basically a space cowboy.
As Indian cowboy.
And what's this one with the animal
strength
of
the bear, bear.
Which in many ways is what Animal Man in DC Comics eventually also does doing.
The main thing of Brave Star was that it was a very experimental toy line that was trying to push the whole interact with your TV thing. So it had the light piping.
Oh, Brave Star had that? I thought the Captain Power had that.
Captain Power, but Brave Star also had something similar. But it wasn't as strong. It was like only shooting each other. It was more like laser tag than full like Captain Power.
I just remembered this one having the broken swords that interconnect, right? Or was that a different show? Oh no, I'm mixing it up.
You might be thinking about Baltar or something.
Yes, that's
Galtar. Sorry, not Baltar is BSG.
Black Star or something. I don't know.
No,
anyway.
but Brave Star was. But I like Brave Star. I continually look for gifs of New Texas.
The robot horse.
No, it was the city that would turn into a fortress.
I just thought you were talking about the robot horse.
He wasn't quite a robot, but it was weird that he could talk. What was his name? 3030. Because it was a gun reference. So anyway, whatever.
Count Duckula.
I super like Count Duckula. And again, it's another one of those. I thought this was older because when I watched it on reruns, it's like, what is this thing? Because he looked almost like a Disney style duck character, but he wasn't. And it was very, very stupid. But I liked it.
There's Robotech, 1985.
Oh wait, is Harmony Gold around?
The cartoon, which isn't really a cartoon, but it's made of different cartoons that's been mushed together.
That is the American way. And until now, Harmony Gold is sitting on to the licenses for this freaking franchise. But in all honesty, this was my introduction to Macross.
I will also admit that it still had a compelling story. In as much as Macross itself had its own story, the Robotech storyline was pretty good.
And how they connected from Robotech to Southern Cross to the Invid Saga was not terrible. So actually, I've been getting around to buying myself copies of the different Robotech books, because the expanded universe they created is kind of brilliant.
Mhm.
It's a real the story they ended up writing around three different cartoons turned out to be pretty good.
So Mina, you mentioned earlier the Raccoons,
Oh,
1985.
there is a show that's
This
just
is
the
different
raccoons.
from Shirt Tales, and no, I was not a fan.
And Shirt Tales has not come up on the list
I
yet.
know.
I'm so sorry for
I'm
you.
so I think it's 90s. I think
And we're
it's not
getting to
90s.
really weird stuff.
Okay, the world of David the Gnome.
It's a garden gnome.
I
This
don't-
must be a British thing. I don't know.
1985. My Little Pony.
My
1984.
Little Pony, My Little Pony, which had an awesome movie. It was quite compelling, that movie.
And it's surprising how powerful the new franchise is.
Yeah, and we're not bronies. I think we just haven't really tried delving into it.
Okay, guys, the more familiar ones are coming up. So there's Dragon Ball 1986,
Which is different from Dragon Ball Z.
Yes.
I have no idea.
But then now Centurions finally on number 55 on the list, which is a 1985
Man
version.
and Machine Power
We
Extreme.
also created our versions of this with Lego because the Lego Technique,
Yeah, the
figure.
Technic guys had holes.
and they were taller, they had all those points of articulation, and that allowed you to connect parts to them, and that was just awesome.
I had a deviator. I don't know how I got one, but I had a deviator, but no Centurions. So I just had the vehicle standing, and it was kind of sad without a person in it. It was my dream to get them all.
1987, Alf, the animated series.
Yes, I was worried that it would come up, but yes, Alf, a live action sitcom series, had a cartoon series, but it kind of hand waved away the fact that Alf would joke about eating cats.
Mhm.
So, I wasn't a fan. Wasn't a fan.
Defenders of the Earth,
Defenders.
1986. So I was a big fan of this one.
Defenders of the Earth's main claim to fame is that its intro theme song was awesome. With all the specific like intros. Of course, I always love Mandrake, Master of Spells and Illusions. Enemies stumble in fear and confusion.
Yes.
Mandrake. So
And it was just a very pulpy show, so I liked it.
very nice. They were different pulp heroes brought together.
Yeah.
It was Flash Gordon, Mandrake the Magician, the Phantom, and oh my god, I can't remember the black guy.
We are moving forward. Rocco's Modern Life is 1993, so
Why
we
is
have
it
to
here
skip
already? And that would be Rocco, not Rocco.
Strawberry Shortcake is 1980.
Wow, but I always only remember Strawberry Shortcake as like stationery. The things you see on
Oh my god.
girly products.
The Wuzzles,
Someone mentioned this.
1985.
I did not personally watch the
This has the
Wuzzles.
glowworm, right?
No,
If I remember correctly, this
can I see the? I can't see the thing. No, the Wuzzles were the weird combination animals, and then they had the toys that could be one or the other. I think we had a Wuzzle.
the mixed animals.
Yeah, you're the glowworm. You're thinking of the Glow Friends.
Yes, that was
Happy as
different.
could be.
Okay, yeah, and I remember the Wuzzles.
Which was partnered with the My Little Pony cartoon.
Yeah, I like the Wuzzles. I found them interesting.
Because they look like mutants. They're this like combination elephant thing, kangaroo. Okay.
Okay, Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling, 1985.
Saw it, didn't get into it because I wasn't into wrestling. But like, hey, let's give professional wrestling a cartoon.
And then, of course, Mr. T,
Again,
1983.
saw it, didn't get into it.
I got into Mr. T.
Really?
I think it's because I was also into 18.
Okay.
And there was sort of a
They had a van.
Yes.
There, they had that in common.
Challenge of the GoBots. Here we go.
GoBots.
1984.
Bum, bum, bum,
I did
bum,
not
bum,
realize
bum.
it had the name Challenge of the. I just
Oh.
remember it being GoBots.
They tried really hard because the problem with GoBots is that even though they were first to market, they were not first to advertise.
Sorry, just noticed Nina commenting the Wuzzles, and she knows that my name.
Rhino Key,
Ah.
Huffle, and Bumble Lion. Oh my gosh, Nina, that's amazing. But yeah, the GoBots were strange because they shot energy beams from their hands.
Mhm.
And then most of the show had them working with just like 3 characters on each side
Mhm.
as their primary cast. But I owned, I had a leader one, and I had the evil ship, the
I-
renegade ship,
I had
which turned
um,
into a base.
Cycle.
Yeah, Cycle's a motorcycle.
had Cycle.
Oh, and I had the drill guy.
Yeah, I remember having Cycle as a kid. Pac-Man or the Adventure Pac-Man animated series.
This was
1982.
actually not bad. I watched a fair amount of Pac-Man.
I remember really wanting to eat Power Pellets.
Yes,
Because there was a lot
it
of
makes you wonder, like, what do they taste like, and will I become amazing?
yeah, I remember really, really annoyedly wanting to eat those things. Star Wars Ewoks, 1985. I actually thought this was 90s.
No, no, no. It was definitely 80s, but that was a rough cartoon. I mean, I like droids more than Ewoks, obviously.
The Legend of Zelda, 1989.
Yeah, it had its own for a while, and then it got bundled into like either
Captain.
the Captain N or
Yeah.
the Super Mario Brothers show.
Yeah. But I remember I was a big fan of Legend of
What
Zelda.
the heck is
So there's a
this?
show listed as the Mysterious Cities of Gold, 1982.
Okay, but look at the actors; they're all like Japanese.
So yeah, it's probably a foreign release. Popples,
Oh my god!
1986.
These were the stuffed toys that
That you
they
could-
turn into balls.
Yes.
We had one of these too, but didn't really watch it.
I was not a fan of the show. I remember my sister later on would be bringing this up because I think there was like VHS tapes at that time.
Hmm.
Adventures of Teddy Ruxpin,
This was.
1986.
I thought this was later, but it's not. But then it was like the cartoon and the toy that everybody wanted, because the Teddy Ruxpin toy will tell you a story, and it would interact
Oh,
with
it's
the
this
tapes.
bear.
Yes, with the animatronic,
Okay.
Toy.
Okay. Yes.
and you could put the cassette in
Okay,
his stomach. Or
I
his back.
remember this not because of the bear. I remember this because of the caterpillar like character.
Of course, you would remember the bug.
Yes, I remember the caterpillar because I think it had a plastic toy where you could pull out the limbs and reconnect them and stuff. I sort of remember that. Yeah.
Should I be concerned? Should I be concerned?
Dino Riders, 1988.
Dino Riders is one of those shows that remind you that cartoon voice actors did all the same cartoons over and over. So there were many familiar voices.
I confused this a lot with Sky Commander.
Again, similar animation
Yes.
era, many repeated voice actors. But I did appreciate it, although it really felt like the good guys were in for trouble because what was their ability? They could just talk to the dinosaurs in a friendly manner and they didn't want to hurt them. Whereas Krulos and his, animal, whatever, anthropomorphic things were like using brain boxes to force dinosaurs into their control, and they got all the cool dinosaurs.
Mhm.
They had the bloody T-Rex who would shake off his harness every other episode.
Denver, the Last Dinosaur.
There you go. For
1988.
people who are asking, Denver, the last dinosaur. He's my friend and a whole
There you
lot
go.
more. Denver, the last dinosaur. I don't know why we got into this. It was just addictive and like everybody knows Denver.
He wore shades, right?
And he had a guitar and he had like,
Yeah.
chucks on. I don't know.
He was cool.
He was an icon of the 80s.
Battle of the Planets. I'm sorry, it's 1978. So
Yeah,
we'll have
but
to
we
skip
probably
that.
got it by the 80s here.
Herculoids, 1967.
What are these old Hanna-Barbera things?
Visionaries is officially 1987.
Yay! We made it to Visionaries, Night
And-
of the Magical
And
Light.
yes, we a friend recently shared the links to the Filipino
Only
translated.
3 episodes.
Was it just 3?
I
wasn't able
checked.
to
I checked the channel. At least he's only uploaded like 3 of the Tagalog dub.
It's crazy that
Visionaries.
they're out there now.
Yeah, but Visionaries, Knights of the Magical Light. It's one of those. Admittedly, the toy series didn't make sense. I mean, it was GI Joe scaled figures
Mhm.
with their main claim to fame was the hologram stickers.
Yes.
And that was it.
And there was
then
on the chest.
there was
and-
one on the
and
chest
staff.
and the staff, and then
Yes.
some of the vehicles.
Sorry, Mamiao, G-Force. Yes, Battle of the Planets,
Battle of the Planets
was known as G-Force.
was turned into G-Force when it moved into
Mhm.
America.
Yeah.
But yeah, Visionaries. There are only 13 episodes. Sadly, it was episodic. So
Mhm.
only like the pilot of 3 episodes was a very connected story. Then the rest were super random.
And then it had one of the most inefficient ways that magic works because you could charge up and then
Use it once.
once you leave, use it once, and then you have to go all the way back to the mountain to charge it up again.
Worse, go all the way to back the mountain and make a bargain with Merklin,
Mhm.
who is not Merlin, but
And fulfill some sort of
for full a quest
Quest.
for him. And he'll normally charge you up to fulfill the quest. and then you come back and they have
So
to charge again.
so they started the industry of prepaid services.
Visionaries were like prepaid. Nice.
Mamio asked, the originally shown in English GeForce? I think so.
I can't remember the channel, but yes, they were shown in English here,
Yeah.
and they were surprisingly violent for afternoon TV.
especially with those arrows that sorry, not arrows, the daggers that were feathers.
Yeah, and then there was like blood and whatnot.
Yeah. Astro Boy.
There is no year indicated.
Yeah,
Was this really
and
80s?
I think it was earlier, so I will skip that.
But there's your
Shirt
friend.
Tails, 1982.
Okay, explain to me what is the premise of Shirt Tails?
Shirt Tails
Are they just animals who wear shirts?
Yes, but the shirts betray their feelings
What?
because they were meant to be greeting card related stuff. So their shirts had their names, but sometimes they would state their feelings on them.
Who thought of this?
Yeah, super smile, super sweet, and all this and that.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember I had I like the mole guy. Where is he? Oh, I can't find him now. There. It's Digger.
You're like, you know his name.
Okay, moving forward. Jason the Wheeled Warriors, 1985.
Super like Jason the Wheel.
I loved how it was organic things and mechanical things at war.
It was the monster machines that were they were the
Mhm.
enemy. And it was just weird, like semi-mystical, thing. But Jason the Wheeled Warriors, man, that was a concept. The vehicles not that great. I had one monster machine toy, and it was the main claim to fame was interconnectivity, that you could move the components from one
The
another.
arm thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
arm, the weapons, you could switch them between the monster machines and the lightning force.
Yeah, I do remember though that my love for Jason the Wheeled Warriors faded very quickly the moment I got into Spiral Zone.
Yeah, you've been waiting for this to show up.
Yeah,
on
and
the
it's not on the list yet. What we instead have is Rambo and the Forces of Freedom,
list. This is like
1986.
R-rated movie. Let's make a cartoon out of it so that we can make a toy line. There is a great episode of Toy Galaxy that explores this strange concept.
Yes, I know Astro Boy was somewhere in the 60s or 70s also. That's why I was kind of thinking it's best to skip it. Sorry, we have not seen
But
the Biker
David
Mice.
says there was an 80s one. So
We haven't seen the
maybe
Biker Mice, but we do have Dino Saucers.
Dinosaurs.
1987.
Which was like, if you thought Dino Riders were cool, let's make it uncool because now they're dinosaurs that are like evolved and they're humanoid and they come from space. Too many ideas at once. Didn't happen.
Super Ted, 1982.
Unfamiliar.
Unfamiliar,
Not knowing that.
but frighteningly looks annoyingly familiar to some degree, but I'll skip it. Beverly Hills Teens, 1987.
Also unfamiliar.
I had never encountered it. I did, however, encounter Captain N, the Game Master.
The Game Master. Captain N was like peak Nintendo advertising. They said, we have to get in on this cartoon
and
business.
it was like, your dreams come true. You're into video games.
But
and
he has
then,
like stupid like
and then you
like,
fall into this
"Nah."
world.
like catchphrases, right? He was super like entering 90s period. Because he was like in a sports jacket the whole time.
His
He had
red and white.
He had a
white
Nintendo
jacket.
controller as a belt buckle, which helped them control things
Mhm.
in the universe. And then later on, he had like a power glove,
The Power
right?
Glove, of course.
Of course, he had a power glove. And then that was because I didn't really play a lot of Nintendo games. Then I had no idea who a lot of these characters were. Like, who was Kid Icarus? I didn't know who Kid Icarus was. I could only appreciate Simon Belmont because
Mhm.
of Castlevania. And then I didn't even know Zelda. I'm a terrible person.
Yeah. Or Link. You didn't know them. That's sad.
Mina is going to watch cartoons tonight. Good for you.
Adventures of Galaxy Rangers, 1986.
Wow, this made it to the 80s. And guys, this had computer animated graphics.
Oh, I did not see this.
The Galaxy Rangers were these four heroes who are not like the Fantastic Four, but then one was bionic, one had pseudo techno telepathy, one was a super genius with machines, and
Oh, I
the
think I
last
did see
guy
this.
would turn into this fiery alien. He had shape shifting abilities.
Yeah, I think I did see this.
Yeah, it was, and they had robot horses.
The blue and white costumes.
I
that's what's
enjoyed
familiar.
this. I enjoyed this for some reason.
All right, we still have time, so let's keep going.
Do
and
we
try to
really
finish.
have time?
Let's
Oh,
try to finish the
we
list.
have to get through the some items.
Yes.
Okay.
Camp Candy, 1989. I am not familiar.
John Candy getting a cartoon. No.
Okay.
Then,
Bionic 6,
Bionic
1987.
which was like, again, not Fantastic Four, but it's a family who are bionic. The
Mhm.
toys were not memorable. Didn't get into it that much.
Were there toys? I don't recall.
There
the
were toys. They had action figures.
Okay.
They had like G.I. Joe scale action figures.
So here comes one of the shows I loved, 1986, Inhumanoids.
Inhumanoids.
Which had-
the evil that fights with it.
And then it had such a strange Tagalog dub version later on.
Ticampo.
Yeah, and that has weird nightmares of opening the rib cage to keep you imprisoned.
Yeah, so that was Decompose.
Yeah.
And then there was Tendril, the green monster.
And
There
then-
was Metlar, the dog face, well, the big boss bad guy.
And then which one had the two poles?
It's like Magmacore
Yeah,
or
the-
something. And then they were just the two of them forever trying to trap Metlar. And
That was good.
but the toys were strange, and the action figures for the humans were totally out of scale because they were quite big.
And they had the weird geometric armor.
Yeah, because,
those,
like,
those circles.
I
and
have balls for
squares.
armor.
And I remember it was really strange shapes that you couldn't imagine how the arm connected to the
Yeah,
chest.
it's just like, how is this a practical
Yeah.
thing? But because, again, they weren't warriors, they were scientists.
Mhm.
And these suits were designed to explore.
They were very science.
Yeah, it's like, I'm a chemist, therefore I spray things.
Therefore, I look like a molecule.
That was the yellow one, I think. Okay.
Ulysses 31.
Ulysses
1981.
was, yes, let us adapt the Iliad into a science fiction cartoon.
This wasn't the one with the red squid robot. That's still.
Isn't that Voltus?
Yeah, that's
5?
Voltus 5. Okay. Making sure I'm not mixing them up. Because this guy also had a brown bearded guy
Because
as the father.
because it was the Odyssey.
Yeah.
It was literally the Odyssey.
Okay, these don't seem to be cartoons. So I'm skipping them. But we have the Mighty Orbots, of course, 1984.
Mighty Orbots, like Transformers Light, it was trying to apply the Sentai robot formula to a cartoon, but the Orbots were so like generic
Mhm.
looking. I didn't quite get it.
Spiral
go.
Zone, finally, on the 94th slot on the list.
Explain your love for Spiral Zone.
So it was that the story basically had different places, the zone areas where people would be in danger and they had to protect people from those areas. You had those unicycles, which were those giant wheels and the riders in the center. And oh my gosh, it was
And this had like a kind of weird post-apocalyptic setting, right?
It had that almost mind control mutation thing if you were trapped in the spiral zone. It also felt very what's the word? I guess you could say it was a grim, dark type of storyline, but it still wasn't just violent, and that's what I liked about it.
We have come to the end of this list. It's at the end of the list.
Which tells me there are some that they brought up that are most likely 90s.
Yeah, and again, this is a ranking list, so we went through 94 entries on this list, which is phenomenal. And then I'm surprised that there are people who still stuck around. Hi guys, thanks for staying.
Yeah, I'm quickly looking at this other list just in case there's any items we missed.
But there's like repetition because it's all the ones that crossed over.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Darkwing Duck is officially 1991.
the Darkwing Duck.
Yeah. Rugrats is 1991. Batman animated series is 1992.
So we'll deal with the 90s on another
Yeah.
episode. There is a request for it. So Toby, of all these cartoons that we went over, then what were like really your super favorite ones?
Well, Inhumanoids was really special. I loved how
It
looked.
had a dark story.
Yeah.
And Inhumanoids was serial. It was very serial in terms of its story.
Oddly, Spiral Zone, I barely remember the stories. I think I was just fascinated with the world, the technology, and I made up my own stories. But I don't recall the stories of the show. Centurions, I loved the concept of the armor so much that I didn't really pay attention to the show because I think the show they were more annoying than anything.
Skynet.
And it was always trying to find something to do for the guy in the water.
Crystal, send me Wild Weasel.
But yeah, but I think in terms of what I would love to see remade or re-released again, Mask would definitely be.
Mask deserves
Um,
that. And it deserves a non-serial story. I feel bad because IDW did like a Mask story that was a spin-off. Like it was derived from Cybertronian technology and they made their vehicles, but
I'd
it was
love to
very weird.
see. I'd love to see Mask in a modern day remake, wherein you have guys who use their mobile phones or something, and it creates a mask that when they go on missions. I mean, just because
Don't you
we're-
like the meeting room?
where they all have to sit down.
You have
and
to
then
sit and then
the
hope
table-
the mask aligns
the table-
perfectly.
I never understood how that worked because they'd have to really position themselves perfectly aligned each time. But then it had that interesting thing wherein their base was the gas station.
Yes, Boulder Hill.
Yeah. So it literally made you think, oh, their base is the place that you'd want to blow up if you were terrorizing the city.
It's full of gas.
But I would love to see those vehicles in a live action movie.
That's fair. But then again, it's just gonna look like Transformers.
True, but they'd be vehicles.
And the mask.
Mm-hmm.
Noel wants a remake for Dungeons and Dragons. There is on and off rumors of a revival.
I think the closest thing that does exist now is there is a commercial series or a set of commercials that features or was inspired by a Dungeons and Dragons cartoon.
Is this for the German car?
Yes. So you can check it out. It's awesome to look at because it still feels...
So yeah, look for Dungeons and Dragons car commercial,
Yeah.
and you will find it. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Biker Mice was not on the list.
But
so-
I think it's 90s.
Yeah, I
Biker Mice
think
from
it
Mars.
is
Biker Mice
in the
from
90s.
Mars.
How about you? What would be on your list?
Obviously Transformers, but that's, besides the point.
It's already happened, so you have to choose something else.
Yeah, no, I still would want this. I mean, I agree on Centurions, and I remember the the stories. Because the vehicles just really like continue to push. And then there were the lesser known Centurions, like
Mhm.
the Inuit guy in Alaska, and there was that other girl. It's like, what are these people? They did a diversity play at the end of Centurions, and like, who are these people? So definitely that. I would like Visionaries with a serial story. Visionaries with a more serial story that would make.
How
more
would you
sense.
fix the problem of Visionaries?
Cool down, not recharge.
So they can only use it a certain times in an amount of time.
Yeah,
And
I
then
mean,
they'll
like,
have to wait for it to charge up.
or I mean, worst case, it's a once a day thing, or it renews at sunrise, while the Darkling or it renew at sunset. I don't know. You could do a spin that way, and it could make it.
Would it be
more
like?
compelling.
Would it be a modern world, fantasy world story, or is it still all set in a fantasy world?
I like-
modern.
No,
day
because
connections?
okay, but
Yeah.
you're forgetting the visionary setting. It was a technological world. All technology
Mhm.
stopped working because the age of magic
Yeah.
had come. So it was technically a
But-
weird
No, but what I'm talking about,
post-apocalyptic thing.
what I'm talking about is how in many translations, like for example, Monster Hunter, the movie, which now has this military group going into this other world, they try to do that transition for people to get what the story is set in. So how do you see Visionary?
I think
Its own world from the start?
it must be its own world. It must be a futuristic world that suddenly turns into magic. I still embrace this core concept because it explains why these magic wielding people have vehicles.
Mhm.
It's like it was just a good strange concept that I want to embrace that. I super want to embrace that.
And hopefully it won't end up like the He-Man movie.
Yeah. And then I still want Mask too. I mean, like, I just really want to explore this whole mask power thing. The comic book series that they did tried, but it got distracted by the weird attempts to make a Hasbro comic book multiverse
Mhm.
that interconnected G.I. Joe, Mask, Transformers, that Spy Guy, Micronauts. It put so many franchises together that the different stories didn't really develop.
And had that worked, it might have led to a whole new series of cartoons in a, I don't know, Saturday morning universe.
Because they already made like they did a new explanation for the Visionaries, which they deactivated part of Cybertron because they did the whole Visionaries effect.
Okay.
It was very odd to say the least. I didn't quite like that crossover event. Sorry, IDW. It wasn't great, but I figure it only made sense because of what Hasbro wanted. They wanted put them all together. Put them all together.
I now feel like we should have a different episode wherein we talk about the 80s shows.
The live action stuff?
Yes.
Ooh. That's tricky.
And even 90s shows later on and all that. So that will include everything from Small Wonder.
But we still have a slight age gap. So the shows that I could watch in the 80s were not the shows that you could watch in the 80s.
That's true.
Because I was a child.
And I didn't watch TV that much.
Yeah. It'll melt your brain.
But that's definitely more than 30 minutes. Last run of any comments, if we have any more.
Noel's like, well for Gargoyles, but you were there in 90s. You were so, yeah, Gargoyles was the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that's already later portion Disney
yes
animation features. And then David was helpful to explain Dragon Ball is like Naruto, while Dragon Ball Z is like Naruto Shippuden, which doesn't really help me because I don't watch Naruto. Dragon Ball is the coming of age of Son Goku.
Okay, that kind of explains things more.
Not quite sure. We're still skimming up. Sad about Captain Planet.
Beetlejuice had an 80s cartoon.
Yeah, that reaction.
Oh yeah, so yes, that's it. Yep, I think we covered all the comments.
Thanks very much.
It was definitely more than 30 minutes. We had a lot of fun, and we hope you'll join us again next time.
Should you have questions or suggestions for future episodes, fill up the Google form at bit.ly Pride Ideas. There is no need to suggest favorite 90s, 2000s, or 2010s and up cartoons. David already did it. So you're bound to get them sooner or later. You can follow us on Twitter, Altobi No Shade, and I'm RG Sunico.
You can also check out our blog, that's badoypride.com. You'll see all the previous episodes and stuff about us.
Feel free to continue the conversation in the comments below. Let us know what your favorite cartoons of the 80s are, which one didn't make it here, and which ones were you surprised turned out to be from the 90s.
I'm surprised there was no Jaws cartoon.
Because we had Rambo, so we needed Jaws. Oh, no. And we later on get to talk about the fact that someone tried to make an Aliens cartoon.
Oh,
but it never happened. Okay. Yeah. And then, of course, be sure to subscribe for notifications, whether on Facebook or YouTube, so you don't miss our next live stream. Once again, I'm Rocky.
And I'm Toby.
And this is Baduy Pride. Thanks for joining us on a Wednesday. Yay! Enjoy